To retouch this image, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to click on Ctrl J, and I'm just going to remove the blemishes and do my micro dodger bond. And to do that, I have an action for that, which I'm just going to run right now. This action is going to help me retouch this image, remove the blemishes, and just do my micro dodger bond for me, as easy as that. So the name of that action is called Retouch for me. So I'll just come to my action right here, and I'll just click on Retouch for me. This action is just going to remove the blemishes for me. After that, it's going to do the micro dodger bond for me, and also it's going to add a bit of contour dodger bond for me for this image. So after this action goes, we're going to see the before and after. So just sit and relax and let this action works for you. Okay, now let's see our before and after. Let me just group this action. This is the before and this is the after. And inside this group, this first one right here is the blemishes remover. So you can see the after, and this is the before. You can see the blemishes on the scale, and this is the after. You can see this action did a very good job. And this one right here is the micro dodge and bump. So this is the before. This is the before, and this is the after. You can see the micro dodge and bump is really amazing. The before and after. So instead of spending a lot of time doing this, you can just use this plugin and it's going to do it for you. And this one right here is the portrait volume. It adds that edge to the image, like contour dodge and bond. So this is the before, and this is the after. You can see it adds that edge to this image. It just gives the image that depth. So I'm just going to reduce the opacity of this because I feel it's too much. So I'm just going to reduce the opacity like this. So basically what I did, I just removed the blemishes and did my micro dodge and bond, which you can do. So after doing my micro dodge and bond, removing the blemishes, next I'm going to do, I want to fix this eye bag right here. I feel the eye bag is too obvious and I want to fix it. And to fix that, I'm going to use the micro dodge and bond to fix that as well. This time I'm going to do it manually. So I just come to my Retouching Academy, click on my dodge and bond curves. You can use any dodge and bond action you have, but I'm going to use this Retouching Academy action, which is what I use to retouch most of my image. In fact, it's what I use to retouch all my images. So I'm just going to add levels adjustment layer to just add a little bit of depth so I can see where to dodge and where to bond. Okay, now I'll come to my dodge and bond group. I'll come to my dodge, pick my normal brush tool. This time, increase the flow of my brush to 2% and just brush on this dark part. Make sure your foreground color is set to white and just paint on the mask on your dodge like that. So I want to remove that airbag there, which I don't really like. I think it's distracting the image. And there are several ways which you can use to remove your airbag, but this method works for this image. That's why I'm using it. And I'll do the same thing for this other side right here. Just going to paint on it. Just to get rid of the eye bag right there. And you can choose to see your before and after. So just turn off this your visual aid so you can see the before and after. So this is what we've done so far. This is the before and this is the after. The before and the after. You can see the eye bag is almost gone, but I still feel we have to do more. So I'll come to my dodge. So I'll come to my bond rather, and I'm just going to bond this part a little bit just to make it blend. I'm just going to bond this part right here and pick my dodge again, way to dodge it, just to blend this. What I'm doing right now, I'm just trying to blend those parts to make it look even so that it's going to look smooth like that. So I think it's okay like this. So let's see our before and after. This is before. You can see the eye bags. This is after. The eye bags are no longer there. So this is one way you can remove eye bag from your image. Now next I'm going to do, I'm just going to run my focus separation action. So I'll come to my Retouching Academy again, click on focus separation via Gaussian block. For this image, I'm going to be using 8 to retouch this image because I want to retain more texture on the image. But if I want this image to be smooth, I'm just going to use a lower blur radius like 4 or 5 for this image if I want it to be smooth. But I don't want my image to be smooth. I like seeing textures on my image. So I'm just going to use 8 for this image and I'll click on OK. Then I'll click on my high frequency texture copy, which is this first one right here. And I'm just going to zoom in a bit and see if there's any blemishes I want to remove. So I still feel there are some blemishes I need to work on. So I'll just pick my close stamp tool, use my close stamp tool. I'm using a soft round brush. My mood is set to normal, opacity is set to 100, flow is set to 100, align is checked, current layer is checked. So if your sample is on current and below, make sure you change it to current layer if you're using this Retouching Academy focus separation action. So I'm going to sample from a close by area like this. Press alternate on your keyboard, sample and brush. Alternate to your keyboard and paint. Alternate to your keyboard and paint just to remove the blemishes like that. And you can see some patches right here which I don't really like. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see those patches right there. I don't really like it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to sample from a close by area like this and just increase the size of the pasting and just paste it here like this to fill that area. So you can see the before and after like that. So I like it like this. So if you see any patches that you want to fill, that's how you can fill it. So I'm just going to sample from a close by area again and just paint like this. So I'm still seeing the same thing here. I'm just going to sample, increase the size of the brush and just paste it right there like that to fill those patches. I feel this image is looking good like this. So I don't like this line right here. So I'm just going to fix that. I'm just going to sample from a close by area and paint on the lines right there because I don't really want to see those lines right there. I'm just going to paint like that. So you can take your time to remove the blemishes on your image. It's very important. Make sure you take your time to remove all the blemishes on your image. All the imperfections you are seeing on your image, not just blemishes. Now let's see our before and after. This is our before, this is our after. Our before and after. Now I feel it's okay like this. Now next I'm going to use my mixer brush to smoothen out the colors on this image. So I just come to my brush tool, right click on it and just click on mixer brush tool. And for my mixer brush, I'm using a software brush as well. This place right here is checked. I'm on custom. My weight is on 20. My load is on 30. My mix is on 10, my flow is on 20, and sample all layer is checked. So if I use this Retouching Academy focus separation, make sure sample all layer is checked. And right now to use my mixer brush, I'll just come to my corrective tool because I want to brush on this my corrective tool right here. And once I click on corrective tool, I'm going to hide this high texture layer right here. So click on this eye icon right here to hide this high texture layer. So once I click on it, it's going to hide and the image is going to be blurry like this. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to brush on the image. And to use the mixer brush to smoothen out the colors on the image, make sure you are brushing your highlights separately and make sure you are brushing your shadows separately. These are my highlights right here and these are my shadows, these are my midtones. So I'm just going to brush them separately like that. And also make sure you are increasing and decreasing your brush size according to the part you are working on. And to increase or decrease your brush size, just click on the square bracket key on your keyboard like this to increase and decrease your brush size. Alright, so I'm just going to brush on this image right now. So I'm going to brush on the highlights first. So I'm just going to paint like this on my highlights. And paint on the midtones separately. Paint on the shadows separately as well. And you can see I'm increasing and decreasing my brush size according to the part which I'm working on. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm using my square bracket key to increase and decrease my brush size. Make sure you're always looking at your before and after just in case you make any mistake so you can just erase it and do it again. So this is our before. So this is our before and this is our after. You can see how smooth it is and I like it like this. I'm just going to continue. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. I don't zoom all the way in like this and brush. Make sure you zoom to a place where you feel comfortable. So I feel comfortable right here and I'm just going to brush on these highlights on the nose separately. And the shadows separately as well, and the transition separately as well. So you can see I'm just trying to smoothen it out, and I'm not just brushing the shadow onto the highlights into the shadows. I'm brushing the highlights separately, the shadows separately, and the midtones separately, so that this image is going to look good. Okay, let's see the before and after. This is the before, and this is the after for the face. The before and the after. You can see the image is looking really good and the makeup artist did an amazing job and the model was also beautiful. So if you want to shoot your image, make sure you have a good makeup artist and a good model. It also make your image look good. So I'm going to do the same thing for the rest part of the skin. Like that. Alright, let's see the before and after. So This is the before and this is the after. You can see how good this image is looking. The before and the after. And next I'm going to do, I'm just going to whiten the eyes. I already have an action for that. So I'll come to my action. I'll click on eyes and teeth action. And I'll just pick my normal brush tool and bring my flow back to 100. Make sure my focal color is set to white. And just paint on the eyes to make it white. This eye is looking white already, but I'm just going to paint on it and I'm going to reduce the opacity after. Like that. And I'm just going to come to my group, come to my properties and just feather it a little bit and just reduce the opacity like this. So let's see our before and after. These are before and these are after. So what I have inside this is my eye group right here. I have my photo filter, which is the blue photo filter. I have my curves, I just take it up. And I have my saturation, I just desaturate it and I just group them and invert the layer. So these are what are inside my group for my eyes and teeth action. So you can do that yourself. Now for the teeth, I'll just run this action again. And I'm just going to paint on the teeth separately. And I'm just going to further it and reduce the opacity like this. So our before and after, our before and after. The next thing I did for this image, I'm just going to color grade this image right now. And to color grade it, I just want to add that warm feel to this image to make the image look a little bit warmer like that. So that's the look I'm going for this image. I'm going for that faded warm look for this image. And to do that, I'll just come to my adjustment layer, come to my color lookup table, click on my candle light, and just reduce the opacity because I feel the opacity is too much. Right now it's looking faded, but the opacity is too much. So I'm just going to reduce the opacity. 27 works for me. And I'll come to my adjustment layer again, click on my color balance. What I'm going to do with my color balance, I'm just going to add a little bit of reds to the midtones and yellows to the midtones as well. So this is my midtones. I'm just going to add a little bit of reds right here, as you can see. Just add, let's say +2 to the midtones. And yellows, I'm just going to add a little bit of yellows. That's minus, let's say -4. Let's use -3. -3. And I'll come to my highlights. For my highlights, I'm just going to add a little bit of reds to the highlights like this. +1 and add a little of blues to the highlights to compensate for this warm look which I'm seeing right here. I feel the warmness is too much. I'm going to add a bit of blues to the highlights to compensate for that. So I'm just going to move my sliders of the yellows and the blues to the blue side to +4 like this. So these are before and these are after. So as you can see, we're getting that warm faded look which I initially stated from the beginning. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to take this image to camera raw and do a little bit of color grading in camera raw as well. And to do that, I'm going to create a stamp visible layer by clicking on Ctrl-Shift-Alternate-E to create a stamp visible layer. So once I create a stamp visible layer, I'm going to convert this layer to a smart filter. To convert to a smart filter, I'll just come to my filter, click on convert for smart filter. And the reason why I convert this layer to smart filter is because if I make any adjustment to camera raw, I can easily go back and change the adjustment if I feel I don't like it. So that's why I converted this layer right here to a smart filter. Now I'll just come to my filter again. I'll come to my camera raw filter. So first I'm going to do in my camera raw, I'm just going to add vignettes to this image. So I'll come to my vignettes and just push it towards the dark side like this. I think -18 works for me. And I'll come to my color mixer. Once on my color mixer, I'll come to my hue. And for my greens, I'll just take it towards the yellow side because I want all the greens on this image to look warm. So I'll take it to the yellow side. And for the yellows, I'm just going to take the yellows towards the yellow side a little bit like this as well. And for the oranges, I'll take the orange towards the yellow side. And for the reds, I'm going to do the saturation of the reds. Next thing I'm going to do, I'll come to my saturation. I'm just going to bring the saturation of the yellows a little bit up like this. And also the same thing for the orange, a little bit. And the same thing for the reds, a little bit like that. And for the greens, I'm just going to take the saturation of the greens all the way down like this. And another thing I'm going to do, I'll come to my luminous. I'm just going to add brightness to the midtones of this image. So midtones consists of the yellows, the oranges, and the reds. So I'm going to add a little of brightness to the yellows, which is luminosity. Luminosity simply means brightness. And I'll come to the oranges, add a little of brightness to the oranges as well. And for the reds, add a little of brightness to the reds as well. And take the brightness of the yellows a little bit down. Take the brightness of the oranges up a little bit like this. So let's see what we did in camera raw. This is the before and this is the after, the before and the after. So I feel I like it like this. I'm going to click on OK. Now this is before our camera, this is after our camera. You can see how good this image is looking right now. So you can choose to add sharpness to your image if you want. Me personally, I don't like adding sharpness to my image, so that's why I try as much as possible to get a sharp image right from camera. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to add sharpness to a specific part of the image, like the eyes and the lips. And to do that, I'll come to my Retouching Academy again, and I'll click on sharpness. So once I click on sharpness, you can see this sharpness applies to all the whole image, which I don't really like. Personally, I don't like it. But if you want to apply sharpness to your image, once you apply it like this, what our advice is for you to just come to the opacity and just reduce the opacity a little bit like that. For me personally, that's what I advise. But since I don't really like adding sharpness to my image, I'm just going to move my opacity all the way up to 100. Come to this my layer mask, invert it by clicking on Ctrl I to invert. And once I invert, this black mask simply means hide. So I've hide that effect from the whole image. So I'm just going to reveal that effect on a particular part of the image which I want to. And once that effect to affect only the eyes and maybe the lips, so I just pick my normal brush tool. Once I pick my normal brush tool, make sure your foreground color is set to white and just increase your brush size. I'm not going to paint only on the eyes like that. So I'm going to paint on the eyes to reveal that effect on the eyes. So you can see how sharp the eyes are looking right now. And I'll do the same thing for the lips, just a little for the lips. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to reduce the opacity a little bit, feather it to make it even smoother like that. So let's see the before and after. This is the before and this is the after. The before, the after. And this is just a tip for you. If you feel the effects you did for your image is too much, what you can do is just group your color grading. Once you group all your color grading layer, you can just choose to reduce the opacity of your color grading. So it's going to give you the result you want. So if I reduce this opacity to 70, let's see. So this is the effect. But I like the color grading I got from this image. So I'm going to take it to all the way to 100 like that. But if you feel your color grading is too strong, you can just reduce the opacity. So that's how I retouch and color graded this image from start to finish in Photoshop. If you want to learn how to get the right focus separation blurry, just make sure to click on this video showing right here or maybe right here. I'll see you guys in my next video. Stay creative.